So once again, a good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those who have freshly walked in just now, we'll be commencing the proceedings in just a couple of minutes from now. All those who joined us online, wishing you a very good morning. At the lunchtime, you also please take a lunch break and be joined with us again after the lunch online. We had to stop registrations a couple of days ago when it crossed about 650 numbers because there were so many others who wanted to come, and we requested all of them to watch the program live. And all those who are sitting here, in case you want any of your friends, relatives, family to watch this program from any part of the world, all that you have to tell them is to log into MMA YouTube channel, and it's going live now. So that will be a great help. We can see more people, and they can also post their questions on Mentimeter. They could be even as interactive as you're here. So that's the best part. So please do share that. And for the lunch, we have special counters, put up 3 counters. There is a separate soup and dessert counter. For the first 5-7 minutes, it may be look like a little crowdy, but let me assure you, we have enough time for the lunch, about 50 minutes. So please take your time, a little bit of patience will get you a grand lunch today. So these are some of the things that I thought I'll share with you. And once again, request you all to share your feedback and the questions as the session is on. We will try and take as many questions as possible. So waiting for one chief guest, and maybe we can get the proceedings going. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having this annual convention 2026 on the theme India at 2035, driving progress in a changing global paradigm. So it's always a pleasure having you all with us. You're having a lineup of speakers about which you will be knowing very shortly. To begin the proceedings, may I now request the dignitaries to take their place on the dais. President of MMA, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, is also the Managing Director of Sundaram Home Finance Limited. Yes, let's welcome all the dignitaries on the dais with a good round of applause. Mr. A.R. Unikrishnan, Senior Vice President MMA, Managing Director Saint Gobain India Private Limited. Mr. M.P. Surya Prakash, Honorary Treasurer MMA and ED Ponpure Chemicals India Private Limited. Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, SM, VSM, a highly decorated army officer, former DG Assam Rifles. Indeed, a privilege to have him with us this morning. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Group Captain R. Vijay Kumar, may I request you to accompany the dignitaries on the dais. Very soon we will be joined by Mr. Gopal Srinivasan, Chairman and Managing Director, TVS Capital Funds Private Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you, we have some best of the speakers, a galaxy of speakers to address you all this morning, in fact, the entire day. Please stay with us and enjoy the sessions. All good things have to begin with the blessings from the Almighty. So let's invoke the Almighty's blessings this morning with a song from Ms. Padmaja. May I request Ms. Padmaja to come and present an invocation song. Ladies and gentlemen, let's raise for the invocation song followed by Tamil Thai Varth. Please continue your position. After the song, we'll have the Tamil Thai Varth and then we can settle down. Ms. Padmaja.
शान्ताकारं भुजङ्गशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिहृद्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम् हरि हरि नारायण हरि गोविंद नारायण हरि हरि नारायण हरि गोविंद नारायण हरि गोपाल नारायण हरि गोपाल नारायण हरि हरि नारायण ऋषिकेश नारायण पर्तीश नारायण ऋषिकेश नारायण पर्तीश नारायण హరి హరి నారాయణ హరి గోవింద నారాయణ హరి గోపాల నారాయణ హరి హరి నారాయణ.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Thank you, Ms. Padmaja. May I request all of you to settle down? Thanks to all the dignitaries who are on the dais. As a token of appreciation for the very energetic song that you have sung, may I request the chief guest and the dignitaries to present a floral bouquet to Ms. Padmaja. Thank you so much, Ms. Padmaja. You have been, you started the program so well with such a great energy. I think the energy flows through the day today here. Please. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Padmaja. That was a wonderful song that she rendered, followed by support to the Tamil Thai Vart as well. Thank you so much, Ms. Padmaja. Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan is the President, MMA. May I have his AV, please?
Mr. Lakshminarayanan D is the Managing Director of Sundaram Home Finance Limited, with over 30 years of experience in financial services, spanning risk management, operations, and strategy. Mr. Lakshminarayanan has held senior leadership roles at Sundaram AMC, G Capital, India, Australia, and began his career with Citibank.
Lakshmi sir, you seem to have a lot of fans here. May I request Mr. Lakshmi Narayan to deliver the welcome and introductory remarks, please.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed my privilege and honor to welcome all the delegates to this MMA's flagship event, the MMA Annual Convention 2026. Esteemed guests, distinguished speakers, invitees, past presidents, delegates from corporates, industry, management professionals, my colleagues on the managing committee, members of the media and viewers watching this convention live from across the country and the globe. Allow me to extend a warm welcome to our theme, India at 2035, Driving Progress in a Changing Global Paradigm. I take great pleasure in welcoming our chief guests, Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, retired, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, SM and VSM, and former DG Assam Rifles. And Mr. Gopal Srinivasan, Chairman and Managing Director, TVS Capital Funds Private Limited. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to other distinguished speakers who have graciously agreed to join us today, and a special welcome to Dr. Rangarajan, former RBI Governor and Chairman, Economic Advisory Council, who will advise our plenary session. For the benefit of guests from various organizations, let me mention that MMA is India's largest management association, a fountainhead of managerial excellence for over 69 years, serving over 8,000 members. In recognition of our contribution to management education, MMA has been awarded the Best Management Association in the country by IMA for 15 consecutive years. Our theme-based annual convention today remains a high point in India's management calendar, renowned for quality and excellence, attracting delegates from across the nation who represent the cream of industry and business. I am delighted that over 650 delegates have joined us here today, alongside thousands of global viewers online. Mr. A.R. Unnikrishnan, Senior Vice President MMA and Managing Director Saint-Gobain India Glass Group, will soon provide a convention overview. This year's theme reflects a transforming global economy, geopolitical shifts, AI advances, climate imperatives, and supply chain changes, creating new opportunities and risks. Discussions today will highlight India's unique position as the world's growth engine, demonstrating leadership in technology, sustainability, diplomacy, and economic resilience. The expert perspective shared today will prove invaluable to everyone present here. On behalf of MMA, I deem it a privilege and honor to welcome all delegates, distinguished speakers, past presidents, invitees, media, managing committee colleagues, and live viewers. Wishing you a truly enjoyable and enriching convention today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmanaran, for setting the tone for the convention. Mr. A.R. Unnikrishnan is the Senior Vice President MMA and the Convention Chair. May I have his AV, please?
Mr. A.R. Unnikrishnan is the Managing Director of Saint-Gobain India Private Limited Glass and Glass Solutions business, with over 31 years of experience driving growth and leadership in the glass industry. A recognized thought leader in sustainability and policy, Mr. Unnikrishnan holds several leadership roles across CII and industry bodies.
May I now call upon Mr. Unnikrishnan to present an overview of the convention, please.
Good morning, all the dignitaries on the dais, distinguished speakers, members of MMA, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow members from the management committee, a warm welcome to the convention. As we were waiting for the convention to begin, we had the opportunity to interact with Mr. Suresh Narayan, of the past chairman of Nestle, and he mentioned that this convention is I think the biggest and the brightest management convention, around this part of the country. So when you have that kind of a reputation for this event, choosing the topic, choosing the theme becomes even more challenging. So in the past, we have had several topics, some very topical from that particular context, so here and then from a short-term point of view, and some topics which are really long-term. For example, we looked at India 2047 as a theme. So when we deliberated this time, so I wanted to, let me also thank President and the past presidents and McKinsey, our knowledge partner, for really contributing to the theme and the contents of what is going to happen during the day. So when we deliberated, we said, okay, now let's not look at it. It's too short term, not too long term, but something in the medium term. Therefore, we chose this 2035 as the theme and driving progress in a changing global paradigm. I think it's more relevant now than ever, because I think it's time. Now we can't always be worrying about the uncertainty from technology, uncertainty from geopolitics, and what will happen. There are things which are in our control. There are things which are not in our control. So given what the context is, how do we plan? How do we plan the next, in the medium term, say 5 to 10 years, for the country, for the state, for our businesses, our sectors, what we need to do? So that is what this convention is probably going to throw light upon. We are really delighted to have Dr. C. Rangarajan coming over a few minutes later, and he'll be talking to us in this convention. We have many distinguished speakers. So broadly, we have categorized today's convention into 4 tracks. One is on the talent and skills for the future, which is going to be extremely important. The kind of talent that you want, the kind of skills that you need is going to be very different. Many of the jobs which are existing today did not exist 10 years back. We did not even envisage that such jobs would exist. So it's very important to look at it from that angle. Resilience is going to be the most important quality that any business, any leader, any country would need at this point in time. So building a resilient foundation for the future, that is the second track that we will have. One area where India is really lagging behind when you compare with many developed nations and also some of the nations who really become developed in the last maybe couple of decades is on the R&D and innovation. Our investment as a country is only 0.6% of the GDP. Ideally, it should be at least 2.5 to 3%. So there is a huge thrust in terms of what is required on the R&D. Government has come out with a 1 lakh crore fund for boosting R&D in the private sector. So the money is going to be available to the private sector. We are not going to talk about that, but I think really R&D and innovation is another very important pillar when you're looking at 2035 time horizon in the development of our country. So that's the third track on which we'll have several speakers. All this is fine, but MMA is a management association. Therefore, it's important for us to look at it from a management and the leadership perspective. So the fourth track that we will have is on the DNA of future leaders. What is really required from the leadership point of view as individuals? What is that we need to really take away from this convention and be ready for 2035? So that's broadly the 4 tracks that we will have today. I really want to thank Varun and team from McKinsey for really helping us to put together all the topics, all the themes, and also the speakers. I also want to thank Group Captain Vijay Kumar and the team for really organizing this convention in a always in a fabulous way and also getting the right kind of speakers. So I'm sure the day is going to be very enlightening, very insightful, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Unikrishnan, for sharing the overview of the convention. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Group Captain Vijay Kumar. We all know him, but still always a privilege to introduce you. May I have his AV, please.
Group Captain R. Vijay Kumar, retired, VSM, is the Executive Director of the Madras Management Association and a highly decorated former Indian Air Force officer, awarded the Vishisht Seva Medal for Distinguished Service by the President of India. Under Group Captain Vijay Kumar's stewardship, MMA has been ranked India's best management association by IMA for 15 consecutive years.
May I now invite Group Captain Vijay Kumar to make a special announcement regarding the release of a special issue of the business mandate.
Thank you, Venkat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a proud privilege for me to do this year after year. We launch a business mandate. As you're all aware, MMA comes out with an eagerly awaited news magazine called Business Mandate with the readership of over 90,000. Our leadership includes leading business groups in South India, dynamic medium-scale companies, and reputed professionals from various industries in India. In addition to the members of MMA, Business Mandate is also circulated to notable opinion makers, industry leaders, senior government officials, multinational groups, management students, and host of distinguished personalities. It's indeed my privilege to have been associated with this magazine as its editor for the last 19 years in a row. MMA has adapted to leveraging technology with a variety of unique online initiatives, including the state-of-the-art digital magazine. The Business Mandate, which features embedded videos and much more. Digital magazine is also MMA's as distinctive features of MMA to showcase our technology advancement in MMA. On the occasion of MMA Annual Convention 2026, we have brought out a very special issue of the magazine consisting of interesting articles for the benefit of our readers. I urge you to, it's already been embedded video and it's already scanned code is given in your schedule. You can just scan the QR code. And I urge you to watch the cover story. It's going to go in the Rajan's talk on innovation, a 3-box innovation. I really advise you to read that article. It's outstanding. May I now request your attention to the screen to know more about our business mandate. May I have the AV, please? Thank you, dignitaries. Copy of the mandate has already been delivered to your inbox. Additionally, you can also scan the QR code, as I mentioned earlier, provided in the convention agenda, which has been shared with you and along with the delegate kit. Kindly read on, enjoy, keep sharing it, and thank you so much once again to dignitaries.
Thank you, Group Captain Vijay. I'm sure the audience will go through the business mandate released today. Some special articles, wonderful articles, don't miss them. Ladies and gentlemen, time for us to invite one of the distinguished guests today, Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, SM, VSM, former DG Assam Rifles. May I have his AV, please?
Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, retired, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, SAM, VSM, is a highly decorated former Director General of Assam Rifles with over 4 decades of leadership experience in counterinsurgency, strategic planning, and military diplomacy. A scholar soldier and former chairman of the Ceasefire Monitoring Group, General Shokin has played a pivotal role in advancing peace processes and national security in India's strategic neighborhood.
It's my privilege now to invite Lieutenant General Chauhan to deliver the keynote address, please.
Good morning. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Madras Management Association, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, all the panelists, Group Captain Vijay, for inviting me and giving me this honor to speak to you. It's indeed such a privilege to see everyone on time. Been such an excellently organized function. Everything was fabulous. From the beginning, from the time I was received at the airport to this moment, everything's gone absolutely fine. And I must say that as a former soldier, I must tell you this is a sign of an excellent organization. My congratulations. As we were driving down from the airport, the young lady who was accompanying me asked me as to what I would be speaking about today. And I asked her, I said, what would you like to hear? And she said, would you like to hear about my reflections and also the story? And she said, no, tell me about, let us know about what India would be like in 2035. Now, forecasting is difficult. What I can say is that India in 2035 indeed will be a very different place. As I look across this wall, this hall, I see many gray hairs like me, but I also see a lot of young people. And it is to them that I say that when I look across there and I see you all, you have all decades of decisions, decades of risk, decades of building and becoming. The long arc of your professional life is still unfolding. All those years now lie behind me. I have spent many of these years on distant frontiers, on the Siachen Glacier, in conflict zones, and finally, post-retirement, in negotiating rooms with the insurgent leaders, and the long, silent responsibility of command. That's why today I stand before you to speak not of my ambition, but of the consequences of it. We often look at 2035 as though it were a distant horizon. In reality, it's just a decade, less than a decade away, roughly 3,000 years, 3,000 days. In strategic planning of any organization, it's actually just one cycle. In command terms, it's just one tenure. But in a soldier's life, that can be the difference between stability and chaos. I must add here that India of 2035 is actually already being shaped, not by the rhetoric of the politicians, but by the decisions taken in the boardrooms, ministries, campuses, and in institutions like yours today. India is no longer an emerging economy, watching the world from a periphery. We are today and will be in the future an economic power, a central technology hub, a pivotal diplomatic voice. Our influence will carry weight because growth will bring scrutiny, visibility will bring vulnerability, and vulnerability can end in chaos. Today's growth, security, diplomacy, and technology no longer operates in silos. We have to understand that we are one integrated whole of nation approach. A cyber breach can unsettle markets. A border incident can influence investor sentiment. A technological breakthrough can alter geopolitical balance. So the question before us is actually simple and difficult. Can India convert its large scale into strength and its opportunity into stability? Let me speak about the changing nature of power. We've all seen over the last 1 year that the rules-based order is moving towards a negotiation-based order. All the norms that we thought of for the last 50 years post-World War II are being contested. All agreements today have become transactional. Influence is asserted, tested, and recalibrated. Is it okay? Okay. Power itself has changed shape. It is no longer just military. It is no longer just economic. It is technological. It is informational. It is digital. As you're aware, a single line of a malicious code can disrupt more effectively than troops on the border. A startup algorithm can influence markets faster than any traditional institution. Supply chains are being rewired. Efficiency is no longer enough. Resilience is equally important. After the pandemic, there have been a lot of geopolitical shocks. Donald Trump provided one. The Russia-Ukraine war continues and doesn't seem to be ending. And there is so much more that happens on a daily basis that's almost impossible, as I told my young friend yesterday, to predict what might happen in 2035. The world has realized that dependence on anybody is vulnerability. Perhaps most importantly, risk as we know it is not episodic. It will be a constant. For leaders like you all in front of me, this changes everything. Strategy can no longer assume stability. And you must plan for the occasional shocks. Strategy must assume disruption and build adaptability into its core. Now, when we speak of security and growth, because that was a part of what the MMA sent me, allow me to speak a little personally for just a moment. While in uniform, I spent many years on India's borders, in Kashmir, in the Northeast, in places where maps were not abstractions, but living realities. I have seen my young soldiers stand guard at minus 35 degrees on the Siachen Glacier, in snow waist deep, far from their families. I have written letters to their parents, to parents who would never see their children again. I have stood at funerals where a mother's silence was heavier than any weapon I have ever carried. I have cremated my soldiers as a father would cremate his sons. So life has been extremely challenging because we faced over the last 50 years of my career so many difficult situations. When I was commissioned in 1979, we had just won the 1971 war, and we thought that maybe we would get stability in the future. But soon enough, Pakistan started the insurgencies, and that reflected into terrorism. So the Northeast insurgency was continuing from 1956, and into these cauldrons of violence, me being from the infantry, I was constantly thrown into these situations. So let me just reflect and tell you a small story of why leadership is important and why you have to stand for the right. In Kashmir in the year 2000, I was commanding my unit, 2nd 11 Gurkha Rifles, in the mountains of Banihal. We were at 14,000 feet. We had just had a violent encounter with 7 Pakistani terrorists who had infiltrated into India. And I had lost 3 of my soldiers. And at that moment, there was a village about maybe just about 200 yards away where we had been ambushed. And very likely that village had probably been complicit in our ambush. So my soldiers were understandably angry, frustrated, hurt, and wanted to vent their anger at that village. But I said, no, we're not going to touch anybody innocent. That's not what soldiers are. That nearby village seemed an easy target for our misplaced rage. I stood before my soldiers and I said that no innocent soldier would be harmed, no innocent civilian would be harmed. Not while I was their commanding officer. And if they had to go there, they would have to go over my dead body. Suffice to say that none of us moved. So leadership is not about just giving orders. It's about absorbing emotion. It's about channeling anger. into discipline. We reorganized, we trained harder. 15 days later, I brought them back to the same place. And we eliminated the same terrorists who had killed my soldiers. So we returned not just victorious, but honorable. Trust for me was earned that week, not by force, but by restraint. Similarly, when I was the chairman of the Ceasefire Monitoring Board in Nagaland post my retirement from 2018 to 2021, I often sat across the same insurgent leaders whom I had been hunting for decades. And I remember during one of these conversations on my first meeting, I was bluntly told by the head of the Naga Socialist Council, the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, that they hated the Indian Army soldiers and they would not cooperate with me. So that was my start of a negotiation career. But after 3 years of constant conversations, of constant interaction with them, when I was leaving, they went to the government of India and said, if General Chauhan leaves, we don't negotiate with you. So what changed? Listening changed. Stability is not softness. Consistency changed. These are strategic investments. So let me say this clearly. Peace is not a weakness. It's a strategic investment. Economic growth cannot survive without internal stability. And when our Prime Minister talks of Viksit Bharat, there can be no Viksit Bharat without Surakshit Bharat. That is something that we all must need to imbibe and understand. Citizens must seek fairness. Employees must seek trust. The price of instability is always paid in economic currency. So on the frontiers, the clarity of intent is everything. Orders must be simple. Objectives must be unambiguous. Complexity in direction leads to paralysis in execution. The same applies, I'm certain, to business. Empower those closest to the problem, decentralize execution within a clear strategic framework. In the armed forces, we call it mission command, or as the Germans used to call it, Auftragstaktik, directive system of command. Intent at the top and initiative at the bottom. Strong nations are built on institutions, not personalities. Strong companies endure because of systems, not charisma. In the army, commanders change, the institution remains. Doctrine, training, culture, they outlast individuals, always. The true test of leadership is not how you perform while in office. It is how your organization performs after you leave. India's rise, therefore, to 2035 will depend less on individual brilliance and more on institutional depth in governance, in regulation, in corporate culture, and in academia. Legacy is what continues without you. I've often spent a lifetime watching the neighborhood in front of me. What is India's neighborhood like? What is South Asia like? If you start from Myanmar in the northeast, you see continuous strife. You see almost 16 to 18 insurgencies eating the vitals of that country. That strife enters into our northeast because the borders are open and our tribes from Myanmar are more or less linked to their kith and kin in Myanmar, and our tribes in the northeast also go through the same episodic violence situations. You come further southward, you come to Bangladesh, which has its elections tomorrow or day after, where we expect once again a lot of violence. You come further west, you have Pakistan, which has been in a continuous state of violence for the last 60 years. You come to Sri Lanka, you come to Nepal, the same instability is there too. You see Maldives continuously in a state of strife. So in every situation, India is surrounded by nations that are unstable. We are actually the only miracle, only political, stable, economically a success story. And it is to this India that we must strive and hope, that we must protect and we must continue to protect. Because without India being stable, 2035 will just be a dream. So therefore, security and business are not separate lanes. A stable neighborhood multiplies growth, an unstable one taxes it. For the industry, strategic foresight must extend beyond domestic markets. Regional engagement is not a strategy, is not charity, it's a strategy. So, where are we today? India's democratic dividend, over 65% of our country is at the age of 65 or 35 and below. This is often celebrated, but demographics are potential. It's not a guarantee. Untrained youth can become destabilizing forces. Trained, disciplined youth become a national strength. So it is to those youth I address this. In the armed forces, we train relentlessly. We sweat in peace so that we bleed less in war. Repetition builds instinct. Discipline brings cohesion. Ethics build trust. Long-term competitiveness depends not merely on capital, but also on culture. Culture compounds, and I have seen that with my own eyes, faster than any capital can. So in a reflection to the young, I'm 68 years old, almost as old as the MMA. As I said in the beginning, when I look at you all, I feel a quiet envy. You will shape the India of 2035 much more than my generation will. I have seen war. You will see, hopefully, technological revolutions. I have defended our physical borders. You will defend our digital ones. You will guard our supply chains, data flows, and institutional integrity. But one principle remains unchanged. Character matters. Clarity matters. Coherence matters. So what is the India we choose? The India we choose is the India that we get, that we vote. India's rise, my dear friends, is not inevitable. History is full of nations that remained or appeared ascendant and then faltered. Capability we possess, talent we possess, opportunities we possess. The challenge is alignment, aligning leadership, institutions, and intent. When I stood with my soldiers in those freezing nights on our frontiers, they did not ask me if the task was easy. They only asked if it was necessary, and then continued to stand guard. Today, that task before India is not easy, but it is necessary. If we align growth with stability, ambition with ethics, power with responsibility, then 2035 will not just be an aspiration, it will be an outcome. And when India stands tall, remember, It will not be built by slogans or by one generation alone. It will be built by our choices today. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Chauhan, for the soldierly and thought-provoking address. Let's give him a big round of applause, taking his time all the way to be here with us this morning, a highly decorated soldier. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now once again invite Group Captain Vijay Kumar to announce the winners of the 29th MMA Young Managers Competition.
Once again, back here, I always find it a privilege for me to announce the results of Young Managers Competition. This is one competition which MMA takes a lot of things, and this time we are really, really privileged. We also were surprised. More than 100 young managers participated, and we got 6 outstanding jury. We got the feedback from the jury. This time is the finest research work done by the participants. So even selecting the winners is really, really difficult for the juries. And MMA has been organizing a competition for young managers since the year 1996. This competition is held every year as a prelude to the MMA annual convention on the same theme of the convention, restricted to young managers below the age of 40 years. We check the date of birth before they do the presentations. The MMA competition for young managers platform for young managers to exhibit their talent, leadership skills, thereby win recognition for their potential and exceed to excel and lead. The competition provides a unique opportunity to young managers to demonstrate their knowledge, creativity, experience, professional prowess, and become the leaders of tomorrow. The competition for young managers was held at MMA Management Center on the 6th of February 2026 as a prelude to the annual convention on the theme India 2035, Driving Progress in a Changing Global Paradigm. About 105 young managers participated in the competition, both written and oral valuation evaluated. The panel of judges from the corporates, management professionals, and evaluated the entire written as well as the oral presentation. I now request the chief guest and the other dignitary to step forward and do the honor of presenting the award to the winners of 29th MMA competition for young managers. May I, sir?
Thank you, sir. As I call upon the winners to the stage and request them to receive the award, please do walk into the stage, please. Let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, like Group Captain Vijay said, over 100 participants were there. Let's give them a big round of applause when they come and collect their awards. Let me begin with the runners-up. Mr. Rohan Raju Ramachandran and Mr. Satvik Kumar, both of them representing BASF Catalyst India Private Limited from Mahindra World City. May I request you, gentlemen, to please walk up fast and collect your reward, a certificate, and a check for rupees 25,000 from the chief guest. Yes, it's been a hard way for them, fighting it through. They first had to present a written presentation, then follow it up with an oral presentation, competing with close to 50 teams, and they have been the runners-up. Well done, Rohan Raju and Satvik. May I now request you to stay back on the stage later on for a group photo. Now the winners of the Young Managers Competition 2026, represented by Mr. Shivashankaran and Ms. Miyamai from Tata Consultancy Services. May I request Mr. Shivashankaran to come up on the stage and receive the prize on behalf of both of you. Once again, a certificate, a memento, and a check for rupees 35,000. Well-deserved prize, the best young managers team. May I now call upon Rohan to come back on the stage. Mr. Alex, let's welcome Mr. Alex, who heads TCS at Chennai, to cheer up his team here. May I request the prize winners to stay back on the stage for a group photo. And the prize of this year, the Best Young Manager 2026 goes to Rohan Raju Ramachandran from BASF Catalyst. So come back, Rohan, for receiving the Best Manager Award of the year. He gets 20,000 rupees cash award, plus a certificate and a trophy. Well done, Rohan. May I request other prize winners also to please walk up to the stage for a group photograph, please. Shivashankaran, would you please come to the dais? Satvik, please. Let's have a group photo. Yeah, please walk up. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud them. A hard effort that was awards well won, well deserved. Thank you so much. Thank you, dignitaries, for presenting the awards. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gopal Srinivasan once again is not a stranger to the audience in Chennai, but it's always a privilege to introduce him as well. May I have his AV, please?
Mr. Gopal Srinivasan is the Chairman and Managing Director of TVS Capital Funds, India's largest domestic capital growth private equity platform, with investments in over 30 leading businesses including Nykaa, NSE, IX, and Codigit. A third-generation TVS entrepreneur, Mr. Gopal Srinivasan is a key leader in India's startup and PEC ecosystem and serves on several national policy, academic, and innovation boards.
May I now invite Mr. Gopal Srinivasan to deliver the inaugural address, please.
A very good morning to all of you. And I think I would like you to join me in giving Lieutenant General another hand for his most inspiring speech. For all of us, I'm sure, the only true inspiration is India. And to hear such an inspiring story about how India's borders are being defended with such raw and fantastic leadership just made my entire day of coming here. Thank you, Lieutenant General. It's always a pleasure to be at MMA. I have very few regrets in my life. One of them is not taking up the leadership at MMA in the 90s when the wonderful Mr. Raj Tyagarajan offered it to me, simply because I was completely ignorant of the power of management, I would think, and certainly the power of MMA. So I'm glad I came here in some other capacity as an accidental chief guest or inaugural speaker. MMA has been a great inspiration. It's as evergreen as Group Captain Vijay Raghavan is. It's been there for a long time, and it's been something that Chennai loves. Your auditorium that you built has been an inspiration. In fact, to many of us at Chennai International Center, we said if MMA can have an auditorium, we need to build another auditorium, another part of the city, so all these auditoriums can spread. So thank you, and I'm very happy to be here on this occasion. I also could not say no because my most favorite person is Mr. Mahalingam, or Mali as he's known. And another favorite person of mine, Shyam Srinivasan, both spoke to me, so I didn't really have any choice in coming here in addition to wanting to be at MMA. This morning, many of you might have just glanced at the news and you would have seen that this year the total AI expenditure in the world is expected to be $700 billion. That's a lot of money. It's about, I don't know, maybe 25 times what India spends on R&D each year, I think, just that one number alone. All of you also know, as all of you are using your phones and using ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever your poison is, that India has 10% of the usage of AI bots in the world. 42% of code written in India is written on AI. And yet, we only have 0.2% of the world's GPU capacity. And I'd like to speak more on that later. Changing global paradigm is now a permanent change, right? It is nothing new. Every year you could have the same thing and it will be absolutely valid. How do you progress in a changing global paradigm? If you look at one paradigm that India, I think, is about to grasp and about to grasp very convincingly, but has failed to grasp in the past, it is pure R&D innovation. It's the one area that we have missed. If you just read all the Nobel Prizes in economics for the last 7 years, what is that one common theme? Whether it's Paul Romer, Joel Moker, Philip Aghion, and Peter Howitt, it's all about the fact that only those countries that invest deeply in technological innovation have the ability to create a strong, sustainable, scalable economy. If India is going to be the world's second largest or first largest or third largest economy in 2050, it's going to be because of the fact that Indian talent innovated and created that technological edge which is today absent in India, but clearly a part of the future of India. I'm going to repeat the fact that was just repeated before. India spends 0.75% of R&D, one-fifth of our GDP in R&D, one-fifth of the US, more than 60% is with the government. You've heard these facts many, many times, but I think it's worth hearing once again. We also know that every other country in the world, like South Korea or China, overspends us like crazy. We also know that our entire R&D expenditure is 1/3 of what Amazon spends each year. It's 1/2 of what Google spends each year. We also know that despite the fact that we had record global patent filings last year, our entire patent filings are only twice that at a global level in terms of global patents filed versus domestic patent files of Google. So we know all these things. We read it every day and we say, oh my God, what are we going to do? Why come we don't have a Google? I just think that we are in the very doorstep of going in that direction. And that's what I want to speak about today. Every day, one more fact that completely overwhelms us is the fact that China has done this, China has done that. I mean, after a long time, I also gave up and bought a Chinese phone because it is just so good, right? And not having Chinese phones. And I'm thinking that everybody then laments as to what is India going to do to get there. And this is exactly what I want to speak about today. Just like the Nobel laureates have clearly indicated in their speeches, in their talks, in their thesis, it is only government impetus that creates national momentum in R&D. In the US, it was a National Science Foundation. It was a US investment in non-defense R&D through universities that spurred their economic growth. I think India is starting in the same direction. We all know about the great jam trinity of Jandan, Aadhaar, mobiles. We all know about UPI, which we use, I guess, close to 1 billion times a day right now. But I just also want to emphasize what I think Mr. Unnikrishnan spoke about, and that is the R&D Innovation Fund. Rarely in the world has a country seen a 1 trillion rupee commitment. 1 trillion is a lot of money. We have a 400 trillion GDP to be given across 5 years, 20,000 crores a year, which will probably get multiplied by a factor of 3 to 5 when in actual use it's blended with private capital. Interests or loans at 3% to be given only for R&D innovation. I happen to be in one of the investment committees of one of those funds giving those monies. And I can tell you that what we palpably see there is quite fantastic. Yes, it's a lot of young ideas. Yes, 8 out of 10 companies we invest in might probably fail. But the other 2 are going to change this country and inspire many others to change this country. Today, India has about 40,000 GPUs. By 2030, we will need at least 1 million GPUs if we are going to reach our goal of just 2% of the world GPU capacity. These are early green shoots in India. A 10,000 crore fund that started in 2016 called the SIDBI Fund of Funds for Startups has created 50 new venture capitalists in the country. The same 10,000 crores has resulted in more than 50,000 crores of blended capital being invested in startups and growth in this country. 5 times. For every rupee the government put, 5 rupees came, 4 more rupees came from other areas. Similarly, the 1 lakh crore fund will create a minimum of another 2 to 3 trillion rupees of private capital pouring into innovation in this country. And by the way, this money is not just for startups. We always think startups are going to make a difference. This can be given to largest Indian companies who are willing to go out and buy, let us say, buy a patent portfolio, buy intellectual property, put a very large R&D project on the ground. This is game changing. And I feel that this is the beginning of a new India where government spurred initiatives are going to inspire innovation across the world. Innovation is not only for giants, right? For example, if you take Sarvam AI, I'm sure today with the AI conference coming next week, everybody is waiting for announcements. Sarvam AI has built a 200 billion parameter model for just 450 crores. That's the total amount of money they've raised. And that's got 11 Indian languages and a vision engine. And as you might have heard, the ability to recognize Indian voices even if you're in a bus, right? That's what they've been advertising last week. Just 450 crores. That's not a lot of money. Innovation is about this. It's not about the wallet. Bharat Gen, which is probably going to become India's foundational LLM very soon, it's a trillion parameter model, has just spent 1,000 crores so far, plus whatever little money the government gave them through 10,000 GPUs. This kind of innovation, I think, is what India is at the very edge of. So all of you, when you use your chat GPTs or Geminis, you will soon be using, in a year's time, Indian foundational models that are going to be very, very different and very, very secure for sovereign data. But one thing does trouble me, and I must be very frank in sharing that. Over the last 5 years, Indian IT services companies have returned 72,000 crores to share buybacks. When I see 1,000 crores for Bharat Gen, 450 crores for Sarvam, I also went and said, how much did DeepSeek spend to get their movement? They claim $5.6 million, but that's bullshit. The real answer is 2 billion, right? They spent about 15,000 crores because they bought 50,000 GPUs. But at 15,000 crores, they created a DeepSeek moment. It's become a word, right? Like a WhatsApp moment. It's a DeepSeek moment. And yet we gave back 72,000 crores through share buybacks in IT companies. What is it that we are missing in the past? What is that confidence that Lieutenant General spoke about that India at a corporate level is missing when we could have spent just a fraction of that and created India's foundational LLM models for the same IT companies? I think this WhatsApp moment is what today the R&D Innovation Fund, the confidence that India has today in itself is going to create. You know, out of the 120 unicorns we have created so far, I'm so happy that on this Monday, there was an IPO of India's first AI unicorn, which is, as you know, Fractal Analytics. So I believe I come here with a lot of inspiration and hope that we are going to shed that past that India can't innovate, that we can't do R&D, that we only spend 75 bips of GDP on R&D. Government spends all the money. To this new India, seeing by the fact that only one idea, and that is that India's Got Talent is not a TV show, it's a reality show. And this talent is sitting all over the back rows, and I applaud all of you to build this new India. So with all our STEM graduates, with stellar organizations like IIT Madras, I see somebody from there, I see Mr. Gautam Rao there, who are actually spearheading innovation. India's got a very, very bright future. And so many examples around us. I saw somebody from, I think somebody said somebody had come from Maraimale Nagar, where we have Mahindra Research Valley producing these amazing new cars that are zooming up the car sales ranks. We have our own Agnikul in Chennai, which has launched a suborbital space vehicle. So many such startups are coming. So I think this cultural shift is at the very beginning, and this theme of driving progress in a changing global paradigm, or a permanently changing global paradigm perhaps, India is now very well set to seize this. I urge all of you to do only one thing. If 12% is the profit of a BSE 500, roughly, like 12% margin is what the BSE 500 makes. We give 50,000 crores a year to CSR, roughly, at a 2% level. Why can't every single member of MMA think about spending 1 or 2% of that 12%? So make it 10% profit instead, on something innovative in whatever business that you're doing, whether it's serving coffee, making idlis, doing AI, making auto parts, making construction materials, making plastic, making glass, whatever it may be. That can we get ignited by this larger idea of the R&D Innovation Fund, of the fact that startups are innovating in AI, the fact that we use AI every day just to spend 1 or 2% of our revenue more in R&D. That's all we have to do. Change starts with each of us. Change does not start by looking at the screen and saying, "Are yaar, ye to India mein hota hi nahi hai." Instead of that, let us make that small change of spending that 1 or 2% of our profits, and let us go from Jai Jugad which has been the motto of India, to Jai Anusandhan, systematic innovation. Because each of us can do it. We don't really need to go to any government program or wait for a grant or wait for some boring venture capitalist or private equity guy like myself to show up, right? We can just do it by ourselves. And we made that change at TVS Capital. This year, we will announce next week our first large investment in AI infrastructure, because we think that's the future of this country. We obviously think we're going to make a lot of money doing that. But I would urge each of you to do that. And just like the Gita tells us, we have to elevate ourselves by our own effort, right? We can either be our best friend or we can be our worst enemy. If you remember that line, Atmaeva hyatmano bandhur, Atmaeva ripur atmanaha. I think it's 6-5 or some such number. So I would urge all of you to get into innovation in every single thing that you do in your own small way and be one drop in that great giant flood that is going to be the future of this country and the future of India in the place in its world as an innovative leader. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a really thought-provoking and a very, very inspiring address. Yeah. So we have maybe a couple of minutes. If somebody wants to have a question for the panelists, we can hand over a mic. Keep the question short and keep it only as a question, please. Anyone interested? We just have time for one or two questions. There's one hand that's gone up there. And ladies and gentlemen, meanwhile, may I request you, there are some chairs which I can see vacant. There are a lot of people waiting for their seat. May I request you to keep your folder or a bag or something on that and give the place to the new entrant. Please go ahead, sir.
Good morning, sir. My name is Soya from Cholamandalam General Insurance. Just a question is, we are using Microsoft operating system. Do India don't want to produce an operating system, or we don't have the capacity?
The past is that you can keep explaining it away and nothing is going to happen. So what we don't have today, I think as Lieutenant General talked about, that the future of India is being made in rooms and policies and investments. So this will sort itself out. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would just worry about what I, as a company leader or as a business person or investor, am doing today to spur investment. This will solve itself. I wouldn't worry too much about the past.
Anyone else? Anyone else with a question? Yeah. Please hand over the mic. Please, may I request you to stand, please, so that the person can look at you. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the distinguished speeches that both of you have given. But I would just like to ask and also point out that very different sides of the picture have been presented by both of your speeches, sir. One talks about being disciplined and being accountable and resilient, whereas the other side, the other speech from Gopal sir talks about innovation and making an innovative mindset and thinking forward. In the organizations of today, sometimes there is a reluctance to take ownership and try out new things. That is a big, let's say, roadblock or a barrier at the moment to innovation. We are happy to lend out to services who can do innovation for us. But if somebody comes up in an organization and says, I might not be able to innovate now, but maybe in a year's time, if I put some effort, I can. Do you think that's valuable in terms of India's growth story, or is it something to not be highlighted as much? That's my question.
The idea that discipline, authority, taking responsibility and innovation doesn't go together is not right. It's only through the fact that you have discipline and that you have planned for yourself a particular way ahead and you follow that through, which includes innovation, is what I was talking about. that when you're looking at something at 2035, that can only happen if you, the young people, decide for yourselves that you're going to create something more than what we've been able to create, and you're going to keep this country secure as well as moving ahead. There can be no security without the armed forces looking at your borders and you ensuring that the armed forces have enough money and have enough technology to fight tomorrow's war.
I think, basically discipline and controlled anarchy, which is what you're seeking, will exist and coexist. You need one for the other. Without that discipline and organization of being committed to a path, you cannot allow innovation to take place at a bottom. Is China a place where there is, you think, discipline and innovation are only one of them exists or both of them exist? Both exist, right? And both can exist. When people see the opportunity, they will make those necessary adaptations and change. So I would not be too worried about what is taking place. When people see around them or what is happening, organizations will also be compelled and impelled to make the necessary changes within their own organization. So I wouldn't worry about too much. I would just worry about, again, what can I do as an individual in a company or as a leader to make those changes happen. That's the only thing that I can actually control. In a country that is changing at this speed, look at the speed of our change around us, right? When the government is saying, I will put 10,000 crores into renting GPUs, or I'll put 1 trillion rupees into spurring innovation, I think the message is very, very, very clear that we must do what we can to follow those footsteps and not worry about the past.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the session has been fabulous, and they've been kind enough to take these questions as well from the audience. Let's give them a big round of applause before I invite them to come and receive a memento. May I request Mr. Lakshminarayan, President MMA, Mr. Unikrishnan, and Mr. Surya Prakash to honor both the distinguished guests, please. Let's give them a big round of applause as we present a memento to Lieutenant General Chauhan. Is that right, sir? Mr. Gopal Srinivasan. Yeah, please, let's give him a big round of applause. He's taken his busy time off his busy schedule today and been with us. Given some wonderful takeaways saying this, India has got talent. That's the first confidence that he's given us. And it said, now, so nice that the government has started spurring R&D. And he's also talked about, he's given us a thought that why can't we spend just 1% or 2% of our profits for R&D? A lot of takeaways there. Thank you so much, sir, for being here today. And of course, Lieutenant General Chauhan, all the way flying to us from Delhi. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us this morning. You're such a great decorated soldier. You've done so much for the country. And he said that, along with Viksit Bharat, we must also look at Surakshit Bharat. And he's talked about the peace being the strategic investment that we need to do, despite all these wars that is going around. Thank you for all the parental care that you talked about for your soldiers. We'll keep it in our mind. Thank you once again, both the dignitaries, for sparing your valuable time and being with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, may I also invite Group Captain Vijay Kumar to make a special announcement now.
Again, you all agree with me, the convention of this magnitude cannot be organized without the great support of a leader who pushed together all the speakers, sponsors, content, committee, and taking it along and give us a lot of things. I know a couple of speakers dropped out last stage. Not to hear, there's no panic, and we always could get another speaker. So in that connection, this year we had our outstanding convention chairman, Mr. Unni, who is managing director of Sengobain, who is the chairman of the convention committee, and it's always our privilege to, we work on him. I shall now request Lakshmi Narayan and chief guest to please present a memento on behalf of MMA to Mr. Unni for being a chairman of the convention committee. May Unni, can you do the honor of accepting the thing? One more pleasant announcement I have to make is, you're all aware, MMA has been collaborating and partnering with Conrad Shifting for the last 40 years. We are the only partner to KS for the last 40 years in the world, actually. That is a recognition what MMA gets. We are indeed privileged. And today, CAST has nominated the program executive from New Delhi to come all the way from Delhi to be part of with us. And we're indeed privileged to have Kanishk with us. Kanishk, may please do this, come forward and take a memento from us.
Thank you so much for Kanishk for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up to Conrad Adnan Stiftung for being with MMA for so many decades. They're a stable partner for us, helping us organize so many programs every year. Thank you so much, Mr. Kanishk, for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this brings us to the vote of thanks for the inaugural session. Mr. Surya Prakash, Honorary Treasurer, will deliver the vote of thanks. May I have his AV, please?
Mr. Surya Prakash is a second-generation entrepreneur and executive director of Pon Pure Chemicals, who has led the transformation of the group into a global specialty chemicals company driven by innovation and R&D. An alumnus of BITS Pilani, Mr. Surya Prakash also spearheads the fast-growing eco-friendly D2C brand Wookie and serves as honorary treasurer of the Madras Management Association.
Yeah, may I now invite Mr. Surya Prakash to deliver the vote of thanks, please?
Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege and I'm honored to deliver the formal vote of thanks during the inaugural session of the flagship event MMA. Indeed, grateful to our distinguished chief guest, Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, retired PVSM, AVSM, YSM, SM, VSM, and former DG Assam Rifles. Mr. Gopal Srinivasan, Chairman Managing Director, TVS Capital Funds Limited, for their inspiring address. I think for me, if you look at the most important takeaway today is discipline and innovation can coexist. I think sometimes, no, both of the things have to exist. I think both the speakers have explained it very well and set the tone for today's discussion. We also thank McKinsey and Company for support as a knowledge partner for the convention for the last 13 years in a row. I thank eminent invitees, past presidents, and senior executives and corporates who encourage MMA in its new initiative and quest towards greater service to the managerial fraternity of this part of the country. I particularly acknowledge the debt owed by us to the convention sponsors and partners who have come forward and assist financially in making this convention reality and grand success. And especially at this time when in the industry we are all tightening our belts, it's a special thank you for all of our sponsors. Thank you very much. I wish to thank all the distinguished speakers and moderators of special session of this convention who has graciously responded to our invitation in spite of their pressing engagements to join us from different parts of India. Our special thanks to Dr. Rangarajan, former Governor, RBI, and Chairman, Economic Advisory Council, who will be addressing the delegates during the plenary sessions. We are thankful to the members of the media for their presence and covering the event. We are also thankful to the Hindu group for being the media partner of this convention. Our thanks to the management of Hotel Taj Coromandel, Chennai, for their support. Finally, I would like to thank our delegates and corporates for sponsoring the executives to participate in this convention 2026. We are sure that you will find your participation beneficial and memorable. We also thank Ms. Padmaja for rendering the excellent invocation. Our sincere thanks to the team from MMA Secretariat who have put in a tremendous effort in putting together this great convention with an array of great speakers from all over India. Thank you once again, all of you, and wish you a great convention ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Surya Prakash. Ladies and gentlemen, one pleasant duty for us. I think the young lady from TCS who has won the award this year, Miss Mia Mai, she just got a little delayed. Now she is here. It's she doesn't. All of us we don't want her to miss the wonderful opportunity of receiving it from the guests on the stage. Please come walk over, Miss Mia Mai. She has been the partner for along with Shiva Shankaran. Please come over. Just join her on the stage. You both have done so well. You have both been partners for presenting. Yeah. Please, please, please. So let's give it up to her. Let's give it up to the team once again. Great effort. Yeah, Mr. Alex, please do. She's been the best manager of the year, but I think she couldn't manage the traffic that well. So let's give it up to her. Well done, Mayamay and Sivashankaran. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the close of the inaugural session. Very soon we will be walking to the plenary session. May I request you all remain to stay back where you are. Thank you, dignitaries, for making us all proud and adding value to us, to all the delegates this morning. Give us a couple of minutes while we set the stage for the plenary session, and then we'll be back very soon.